In this video, I'm going to be sharing everything that you need to know to get started with Maca. So we're going to be talking about how it works, the benefits, how much to take, what time of day to take it, which color to use, and basically all the things to help you have success with this herb. So Maca is a root that is classified as an adaptogen, and what that means is that it can help us when it comes to our stress response, okay? It is also classified as a cruciferous food, and what that means is that it is in the same family as things like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale, for example, okay? Now, maca has historically been used in Peru. In Peru, it was used to support hormones and to basically help with everything from fertility to menopausal symptoms and even menstrual irregularities. So Peru is really one of the main parts of the world where the use of maca has more of a longer, more significant history. All right, now we're going to get into how maca actually works. Research shows that maca basically works to support the proper functioning of the hypothalamus and the pituitary. Now, the hypothalamus is the master gland in the endocrine system, or the hormone producing system. So the hypothalamus communicates with the pituitary, and the pituitary then talks to other glands like the thyroid, the ovaries, and the adrenals. Maca actually contains compounds called alkaloids, and these alkaloids seem to be the compounds that are really responsible for supporting proper function of that hypothalamus pituitary pathway, so that we can then get positive effects as the pituitary talks to the other glands in the body. Now, you've probably heard that maca is one of the best herbs to use for fertility. A lot of this comes, for one, just basically from the historical use in Peru, and it also comes from some research that has been done on animals. So, for example, there has been studies done with rats that shows that maca, I think specifically yellow maca, can improve fertility in rats. There's also been a study showing that it can increase the litter size in female mice. So those are really the main pieces of research that are driving a lot of the popularity of maca for fertility. All right. Now, maca also contains compounds known as sterols, and these sterols are lipids that help to improve the function of different glands in the body. So some of those glands include things like the pineal gland, the thyroid, the ovaries, and the adrenals. So because maca supports the hypothalamus and the pituitary, it can potentially be beneficial for a wide range of hormone-related conditions or symptoms. For example, it could be beneficial for PMS, for menstrual irregularities, for low libido, for fertility. It can also be helpful for women going through menopause. Certainly, if you have things like low energy, it can certainly be helpful for that, because it is a stimulating herb, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So those are just some of the things that maca can help with. And of course, again, it is an adaptogen, so it can definitely be beneficial when it comes to just supporting how you adapt to and respond to stress. Okay, let's switch over and talk about how to use maca and how much of it to take. Okay, so you can take maca in the form of capsules. You could also take it as a tincture, or you can just use the dried and ground up powder that you put into things like smoothies or warm milk or oatmeal, or even into dessert. So those are some of the common ways that people will tend to incorporate maca into their routine. Okay, now as far as how much to take, research has used lots of different amounts, and in general you'll see that the research has used anywhere from 1.5 grams to 3 grams to get positive results. Now, also maca, because it's an adaptogen, a lot of experts will sometimes recommend that you take breaks with adaptogens and not just take them non-stop. So one of the recommendations I came across on Gaia Herb's website is that you want to take 1 day off every week, and then you want to take 1 week off after 6 weeks of using it, and you want to take 1 month off after 6 months of using it. Again, these are guidelines that they have provided just for all adaptogens and not just maca only. Another thing to keep in mind with maca is that different experts seem to have different opinions about when to take it in your menstrual cycle. Okay, some say because maca is basically a food, right? It's a root vegetable, so because it's a food, you can take it at any time, but others will differ from that opinion. So two things you can do is to either just go based on what is recommended when it comes to the brand that you buy. So if you're buying a brand that maybe is making a product that is specifically for fertility, they might also give you some suggestions about when to take it during your cycle. But if the brand doesn't provide that information, then again, you want to seek out a health professional that is more familiar with this herb so they can kind of guide you as to when to take it during your cycle. Now, once you do decide to start taking maca, of course, one of the main things you're going to be thinking about is how long is it going to take for you to see results. And here, again, the results are quite varied. Okay, research shows that some people see results in as little as 2 weeks, and sometimes it can take as much as 4 months. And there's a lot of variance here. So just to give you an idea of what the research has actually shown. So there was a study done with postmenopausal women, and in their case, it took 6 weeks to see improvements in libido as well as psychological symptoms that were stemming from being in that menopausal phase. Okay, then there's another study done with men, and in 2 weeks they had an increase in sex drive from taking maca. And a third study showed that it took 4 months for men to see improvements in sperm motility and sperm count. So there's a lot of variance here, and you really just need to give it some time. But in general, with herbs, you definitely want to give it at least a few weeks to about a month to really evaluate how you are reacting to it, unless of course you're having some sort of negative response very fast, in which case it's just best to stop it and investigate some other option. Now lastly, let's talk about which color of maca to use. So there are multiple colors of maca. The ones that are most popular in the US market are the yellow, black, and red maca. Now, what you will find is that the only thing that changes in these colors really is the skin of the maca roots. On the inside, they all pretty much look very similar. They all kind of have a pale, kind of off tan color to them. Okay, so that color is really more to do with the skin and not with the actual part that you are consuming. But of course, there are still some chemical differences in the composition of each type. So the main thing here is that yellow maca is least stimulating, while the red and the black maca are the most stimulating. Okay, and again, this is super important because that stimulating effect for some people goes too far. Some people feel extremely jittery when they use maca. Some people can get disrupted sleep because again, it is so stimulating. So if you are brand new to it, it is usually a good idea to just start with the yellow one and stick with that until you see how your body responds, and you can switch to one of the other colors if you feel the need to. Now, for fertility, it is generally said that women should be using the red one and men should be using the black one. So again, those are general guidelines, but what is most important is what your body can actually handle. So it's still a good idea to consider starting with the yellow maca first. There is a fourth option, and that is to do a tri-color maca. So some companies sell a blend of basically all 3 colors, and usually it will have a much higher ratio of yellow maca and a smaller amount of red and black. So it's going to be more stimulating than just taking yellow maca, but maybe not as stimulating as if you just took 100% red or 100% black, right? So that's the first thing, is the color to use. Now the next thing to consider is the form of maca. So you will either be using raw maca or gelatinized maca. Now gelatinized maca is really just cooked maca. It doesn't actually have gelatin in it. Okay, both forms are good. However, it takes a little more work for the body to digest the raw one versus the gelatinized one. So if you know that you have some digestive issues, a very sensitive gut, you might want to consider starting more with the gelatinized one. Now, as far as where to get your maca from, you can certainly find it just about everywhere these days. You can look on Amazon if you wanted to. Maybe your local Costco might have it, because I certainly a while back used to find it at my local Costco. Another company you want to consider looking to that I recommend is the Maca team. So this is a company that makes maca products only. So they carry the tincture, the capsules, the powders, the different colors, the tri-color blend, all of those things. So if you're interested and you want something that is really high quality, then I would recommend you looking into the Maca team. I will place a link to them in the description section below. And yes, I am an affiliate for the Maca team, which means if you make a purchase using my link, I get a commission, but that is at no additional cost to you. Now, before I wrap up, a quick note about some side effects to watch out for when you're taking maca. So most common is things like headaches, as well as potentially some gastrointestinal issues. And of course, like I mentioned, for some people it can be overly stimulating. It could make you feel jittery. It could potentially keep you up at night. And also it can also be goitrogenic. So because it is a cruciferous vegetable, it could potentially interfere with the thyroid's ability to make use of iodine. So that does it for this video. I hope that this was helpful, and if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and of course feel free to share this with anybody else that would benefit from this information. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.